everyone, Liz here again with Crafty Mondays. Today we are making little pom-poms, and we can use these pom-poms in a variety of different ways. They're a cute, fun, quick, easy project, and you can use them on their own to decorate maybe a hat or um, or a blanket or different things in your house, or you can string them together as a garland. Um, the instructions that I'm going to show you have one piece that's longer, and that can be used to tie it onto different things. We're actually going to be watching a video from Creative Bug, which is one of the databases that you can access through our website with your library card. We're going to be watching just part of the video, the part that shows you how to make a pom-pom with a couple pieces of cardboard that you have at home, instead of having to buy a pom-pom maker at the store. The video also includes instructions for making a pom-pom with a fork, which if you want just an itty bitty pom-pom, that's kind of fun too. I will say that if you picked up a kit for this craft, the pom-pom maker from cardboard that I put in your kit is a little bit different than the one in the video. I just find that this is a little easier. So the one in the video you'll see in a minute here has two donut shapes with just a line. I made two that have a little cutout so that when you line them up, which you can see here, there's a little space. There's a space for putting your yarn, and then there's also a gap between the two of them. And the reason I did that is because it lets you, what you're going to be doing is wrapping the yarn around this, but then you have to thread a piece of yarn through the middle. So if you take your yarn and your donut shape, and it's a little tricky to hold it up so you can see, but you just thread it through and you put a paper clip here, and then you pull it right through so it's between the two pieces of cardboard, and then clip it on this end as well with the other paper clip. Then when you wrap your yarn around at the end, you can just take these paper clips off and you already have that threaded through. And you'll see what I mean once you watch the video. So I'm going to start our video now and we can watch together.
You don't need to buy a pom-pom maker at the store in order to make a pom-pom. In fact, I think that you can get a really high quality pom-pom by making your own. It's really simple. All you need is two pieces of cardboard and a glass to trace a circle, and a quarter or any circle shape this size that you can trace. I recycled this cardboard from a gift box. You can use a cereal box. Really, a lot of things in your recycling will work. Nothing fancy required here to do this. So I'm going to trace the same exact shape onto both of these. And then I'm going to make it like a donut here with my quarter. And this is really imprecise. You do not have to be careful about this at all. The length from here to here is what is determining how big your pom-pom is going to be. And also how fluffy it will be is determined by how many wraps I do. Put a slit in these in order to get the yarn through, so you can just cut right through that in order to cut these out, and that's going to make the circles much easier to cut out. So there is the outside of that done. Now to get to the center, I'll come along like this. Just cut that little hole out that I traced earlier. And by using this pretty strong cardboard, it definitely is going to make my pom-pom maker more durable. You can use this a bunch of times in a row. Okay, now I'm going to hold it up to my other one. Now I'm ready to wrap my yarn. For this one, I'm going to make a multicolored pom-pom that looks like this here. So the way I get this design in the middle is that I take 3 pulls of yarn at once. And I suggest if you're using a ball of yarn that has a center pull, you use the center pull. It is much easier. Otherwise, your yarn will be flipping all around and tangling. That's pretty important. Whatever you want to land in the middle is what you lay down first on your pom-pom maker. So I've got my 3 lengths of yarn, and I'm just going to start wrapping. I'm holding the 2 pieces of cardboard together as I do this, and I'm making sure those slits are lined up. And then I'm wrapping. And it is kind of awkward to get going at first, but once you get moving with it, you get a nice flow. And figure out how best to hold it in your hands. And see how this doesn't look that nice? That's fine. It will look really good when it's pom-pom. So I found that it's kind of helpful to push this thing out of the way, and then you can really start wrapping. Don't worry about what's happening with these little ends. All of that is going to get straightened out when the pom-pom's done. The more you wrap, the better. Wrap as many times as you can. That will just be a really fluffy pom-pom. So I'm going to cover this entire length. If you're using 3 strands of yarn at once, it actually goes quite a bit faster. I think that's enough. I really want that center to be thick though. I might send it back one time. There we go. I'm going to cut 2 of these ends in the colors that I don't want anymore. Okay, and I'm keeping my cream because I'm going to add another thick layer. And that next layer, the cream, will be the outside of the pom-pom right here. This takes a little while longer because it's only 1 strand of yarn. See how you get the rhythm after it gets going? This is going to be a really super fat pom-pom. Okay, I want all of the 3 colors to be completely covered, so I'm being careful to completely cover all of those colors. And I'm not pulling the yarn too tight. If it gets too tight, it gets a little bit harder to cut at the end. This is a super fun project to do with kids. I was just doing this with a bunch of kids this weekend, and oh my gosh, they loved it. It's really, really easy and really satisfying. I think that looks pretty good. Take your sharp scissors, insert them in between the 2 pieces of cardboard, and start snipping at that yarn. In this case, I think it really helps to have a tiny pair of scissors. It's kind of hard to get bigger scissors in there. There we go. You can see the pom-pom peeking out. Now I'm being careful to keep the pom-pom from slipping out the bottom because I have to tie it off. I don't want it to slip out of the cardboard. So as I do this, I'm aware of that. If that pom-pom were to fall out of the cardboard before it was tied off, we'd have a little bit of a mess on our hands. There we go. I think it's all cut. I'm going to set this down. I'm going to grab a length of yarn here, snip it, and then I'm going to send that yarn between the cardboard like this, all the way around there. And then I'm going to tie it off really, really tightly. I'm tying it as tight as I can. The tighter I get it, the more the pom-pom will puff out from the center. And also the more secure it will be. It won't fall apart. There. Okay, so that's tight enough, and I can remove the cardboard. There we go. Fluff it up. And there we have that little pom-pom. So I can see that it's not perfectly circular, and that is no big deal because I can come in here and I can trim up the edges and make it into a circle. This side turned out just a tiny bit longer, so I can just give a little haircut like that. That's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to leave these tails long so I can attach it to something. Like that. That's a pretty pom-pom. I love those colors together. And see how the first group of colors that we laid down ended up in the center of that? And then that white ended up at the edges. The last pom-pom we're going to make is using a fork. So sometimes
I'm sorry, I did that all of that with my microphone muted. I bet that's what somebody just texted me about. Yes, that is what somebody just texted me about. I am so sorry. My cats were making noise outside the door during the video, so I muted myself. So what I said was I demonstrated that I'd already taken the paper clips off, and I made the center string on mine blue so that I'd be able to see it. But as you cut around, this way you can kind of gather everything up with that string and you don't have to worry about it falling apart at the end. So I hope that you enjoyed our crafty morning, or crafty Monday rather. We have another one coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be a folded paper wreath, and there isn't a kit for this one, but you can use just about any kind of paper you have on hand, whether it's colored printer paper or scrapbook paper or pages out of a magazine or just plain paper that somebody's colored on. Really anything works. So just have your paper ready, and we'll be able to fold our little origami wreaths in 2 weeks from today. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see everyone soon. Oh, and actually tomorrow there is a virtual cooking class, 4:30. You don't have to register for that one, but you just tune in on Facebook